Dr. Evan Osar with the Institute for Integrative Health and Fitness Education. Welcome to this edition of Integrative Movement Insider. Well, actually, it's the Tuesday's edition of our weekly series that Jill Leary and I started, Two Anatomy Geeks. I'm one anatomy geek, and my colleague Jill Leary, she's in isolation, so unfortunately we can't be here together, but we're going to bring you an online version of this program so we can continue to deliver great information for you as a health and fitness professional, so you can continue to up-level your skill set, stay relevant, stay educated and inspired, so that you can get out there and empower your clients in your community and get ready for when this isolation is over, because it will end at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. And in the meantime, take advantage of this time to up-level your skill set, your mindset, and get prepared for when we come through this. Now, in this week's, I should say, month's editions, we've been talking about foot and ankle issues. And a lot of our clients will come to us with bunions and foot issues related to how they're using their foot muscles, because again, the muscles of the foot are very similar to muscles anywhere in the body. They become deconditioned and problematic when we do things like wear improper footwear. So one of the muscles we're going to talk about this week, we've talked about soleus last week, posterior tib and anterior tib the previous 2 weeks, is the muscles involved with creating that foot tripod. Again, it's a whole foot complex, so it's not just these two muscles, but two of the muscles that we talk about during our certification programs, the Integrative Corrective Exercise Instructor Program and the Integrative Movement Specialist Certification Program, are the Abductor Hallux. Hallux just means big toe, and the Abductor digiti minimi, which just means small toe. So if you look at these two illustrations here, you see the calcaneus or the heel bone here. So this is the right foot. Here's your talus here. Your tibia would be up here. Tibia would be on this side, the medial side. If you go in the inside of your heel, on the inside aspect of your heel, the Abductor Hallux comes underneath your arch to support the medial longitudinal arch, so the big arch in your foot, and attaches to the base of the first phalanx or the big toe. Your Abductor digiti minimi attaches to the outside of your heel or calcaneus, and it runs underneath the lateral arch or the lateral longitudinal arch of the foot to attach to the base of the fifth metatarsal and phalanx. Okay, so the little toe. So what these two muscles do, respective of each other, is the Abductor Hallux pulls the big toe this direction. The Abductor digiti minimi pulls the small toe this way, so it helps to spread the foot out so you can create the medial and lateral aspects of the foot tripod and also support the medial and lateral longitudinal arches of the foot. So that way it creates those two sides of that foot tripod that we refer to so frequently here in our videos and our trainings. So the foot tripod, being most of our weight should be underneath the calcaneus, the medial side of the calcaneus and that first toe, the lateral side of the calcaneus or heel and fifth toe, and then across the base of our metatarsal. So essentially it forms a tripod of our foot, and we should remain upon that tripod. Now, what it does not mean is the rest of the foot's not on the ground, and it doesn't mean that it should stay a tripod all the time. Because again, if you push off on your two big toes, yeah, you're going to go into a more of a forefoot sort of loading situation. But when the foot's on the ground, when we're squatting, lunging, and we take a step onto our foot, we want the foot to be supported on the foot tripod. Now, a lot of individuals out there will teach the short foot position, and the research has shown that that's a great way to activate the foot intrinsic muscles. These two muscles are called foot intrinsics or are part of the foot intrinsic muscle system, and they help support the arches and the positions of these 26 bones of the foot. Unfortunately, what we found in a lot of our clients that have been following online advice, so again, obviously we do a lot of online education as well, but this is the importance of taking perspective of the information you're watching online. We've had some individuals come through our certification programs and patients that have come in and they already have a rigid type foot. They watch some experts online or gurus talk about the foot and ankle online, who talk about the short foot, and they already have a rigid foot. So that the more they do short foot or make that arch a little bit higher and make the foot a little bit more rigid, they start limiting motion, the necessary motion of the foot, because we need motion of the foot. We need the support on the tripod, and we also need motion of the foot. If you already have a high arch rigid foot like I do, what this can do, it can create more rigidity and stiffness of the foot. And if you look at a lot of your older clients, because a lot of you work with older population like we do here, you'll see that they're already claw-toed. They have claw toes or hammer toes. They already have some rigidity of their foot. So for those clients, that short foot position isn't great for them. Short foot is really great and appropriate for clients that have a dropped navicular bone. So if you look at these bones here, you don't need to worry about this right now, but here's your calcaneus, the heel, here's your talus, and here's your navicular bone right here. If that bone has dropped down on the floor, so you're basically collapsed that medial longitudinal arch, short foot position is very appropriate, short foot activation is very appropriate to help activate this muscle here, the abductor hallux. But again, for clients like me or individuals like me that have a high arch rigid foot and clients that have created hallux valgus because of a rigid foot, it doesn't work well and actually perpetuates issues. So one of the things we teach in our certifications is how to activate these muscles to get a better foot tripod and a more reactive foot tripod. You've heard me talk about the activator from our friends and colleagues over at Rolga. So this is the activator. We love this. The reason we like this is because it has a dome-shaped structure that fits very nicely into the foot. You can also use this smooth edge here of the activator. The other thing we like about this versus a ball is it doesn't roll away on the person. Because what we see with a lot of our clients, and you've probably seen this with your clients too, is they put their foot on the ball and they just kind of go like this, and it actually does work, but not as effectively as using something like this and being very strategic about how you're using it. So I'm going to demonstrate how you use it. If you don't have an activator in your possession, you can always get one at rolga.com. And again, we make no money for recommending this. We just recommend tools that we like, people we like. We love the people at Rolga, and also that we use here in our clinic, that our clinic clients and patients find success with. So take your ball or take your activator, and what we're going to do is I'm going to use my flexibility here. You see how flexible I am, right? So I'm going to put this activator right in the arch of my foot. So hopefully this comes up on the video. And what I'm going to do is just put it on the inside of my heel. So you'd be doing this on the floor. We have clients do this in the seated position, and it's not about rolling back and forth. It's about holding this position. Just allow the Rolga, or I should say the activator, to sink in. And then we'll just do a couple different spots. And same thing, just allow the activator to sink in and allow the foot to relax over top the activator. There's only one portion of the foot that you don't want to rub under, and that's right underneath the big toe, because you have two little bones called sesamoid bones. You do not want to rub underneath or over top or around those sesamoid bones. So stay off the ball of the foot. Don't roll that, don't push on it, don't massage that. Stay away from that area. We will also do that on the outside of the foot. You see I'm wearing my Injinji socks, the toe socks, so because that allows me to spread my toes out, which is a very important part of that foot tripod. Same idea on the outside of the foot. Again, be a little more careful because the bones are a little bit smaller here. So again, as I do this in the seated position, okay? So just roll it on, or just contact on the outside of the foot, allow the foot to relax over top the activator or the ball, moving down to mid-arch here. Again, don't stand on it. Don't have your clients stand up and do this. Have them sit down so they're not going to risk injury by putting too much pressure through the outside of their foot here as well. And actually, I'm working with my Janice's, my wife's nephew, who actually has Taylor's bunion. So his little toe, he's getting a little bunion on his little toe because he loves to wear soccer cleats that are really tight because it keeps his foot real stable when he's playing soccer. But unfortunately, it's just too small and tight. So now he's created this bunion on the outside of his foot. But again, having him do these exercises, it's actually helped him. Even though he still wears his small soccer shoes, the tight soccer shoes, it has helped him alleviate the pain associated with that Taylor's bunion, and it's a way to stretch the foot out after he's been in those shoes. So now, stand up and just kind of feel your feet. I should have had you check before, but stand up and feel your feet now. You should feel like your foot is a lot more contacted to the ground because you've activated these muscles, you've created a little bit of mobility at the same time, and now you can get your weight over the big toe, small toe, and heel, and now you just work on balancing in that position. And this is how this simple work, understanding the functional anatomy, what these muscles do, again, Abductor Hallux pulls the big toe out this direction. Abductor digiti minimi pulls it out this direction and also keeps it down on the ground. It helps support the medial and lateral longitudinal arches, and it helps support that tripod so that when you get up and you're standing on your feet or you're standing and balancing, you have a much wider base of support. And also it helps provide that proprioception back to the central nervous system. Because again, these intrinsic muscles, these small stabilizers of the feet, the hands, the core, the shoulder, the knee, the hip, all the deep stabilizers, their job is not just stabilization, it's also to provide high levels of proprioception back to the central nervous system. So again, I hope this served you. I hope it helped you understand some of the small muscles of the feet that work together with all the muscles of the foot and ankle complex, and why the foot tripod is so important, and why short foot Can work for some clients that have that dropped navicular bone, this bone right here. But again, if your client has a high arch rigid foot or they have claw toes, hammer toes, it may not be the best way to activate the foot muscles. Use a device like the activator to help to mobilize the foot and also upregulate some of the muscles of the foot, and then teach your client how to integrate the foot into their functional patterns, their squats, their hinges, their lunges, their steps, and you help create a strategy for success for your client. And that's how you become a specialist for your current clients and attract more individuals that need, want, and will ultimately hire you for your expertise. This is Dr. Evan Osar of Two Anatomy Geeks. Next week, we're going to try to be on a webinar with my fellow geek, Jill Leary. Hopefully, I should say, let's back up a little bit. Jill Leary, she'll be back with me as well. We're going to do an online series just like this. We'll send you information out. Go to our website, iihfe.com. Sign up for our newsletter, Integrative Movement Insider. We'll let you know when we're releasing this online webinar series. We're going to make this complimentary during this time while everybody is in lockdown, so that way you can continue to up-level your skill set. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time at Two Anatomy Geeks. Take care.